When I think about stories, and specifically in our healthcare career pathway and the certified nursing assistant training that we hold currently at two sites in Contra Costa County, so at Mount Diablo Adult Education and at Opportunity Junction, it's the students' stories that resonate most and motivate me to do the work that I do. Um, so the stories that come to mind regularly are those of two sets of siblings that we had go through the program. So one set entered and had a lot of challenges in their family dynamics and a good bit of educational trauma. One of the older sibling, she had gone through seven different schools through her high school career. So normally a lot of folks have one, maybe two, but in 4 years she got kind of pushed around into seven different schools. Um, and not being recognized for her passion, her perseverance, and she was an extremely intelligent, very strong-willed individual. And interestingly, one of the things that she shared was how the support from the healthcare career pathway team gave her the tools to deal with, challenging situations that she wouldn't have handled well before because she would react, right? She would be triggered, things would come up, she would feel disrespected because people a lot of times weren't listening to her voice, right? They were making assumptions about who she was and, where she came from, what she looked like, how she's presented herself. And so she felt like she learned a lot of strategies and got a lot of tools in her toolbox in the classroom and from her instructors and the staff, and from meeting with me sometimes as well. And so the example that she shared at towards the end of graduation, when folks asked, like, what was your most memorable experience? She actually shared how a resident in the facility when she was in clinicals actually made a lot of really awful racist comments to her. Like the resident didn't want her in the room because she was a young Black woman. And she said normally she would have her words, I would have acted out, right? Like is what she said. But she was like, no, she's like, I stayed calm. She's like, I set a boundary. I let him know, it's not okay to talk to me that way. I'm here to take care of you, Mr. So-and-so. And, I want to do, what you need today. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. And so she was like, I was able to set some boundaries, use my voice, but understand where he's coming from as a resident, and also take care of myself. She was like, I learned tools to take care of residents, but also just the self-care. So she, went to her instructor. That was really hard for her to have to deal with, right? It's not okay for someone to speak to another individual like that. And it did hurt her feelings, and it made her, have a lot of stuff come up. But she, instead of internalizing it and acting out and, maybe bottling it up, she went and talked with her instructor. She was able to take some self-care. She was able to voice her story. And eventually actually, had a good relationship with that resident throughout her clinical experience because she set some boundaries, right? And her instructors and the staff there listened also to her when she said what happened, and they reiterated, like, these are the expectations when you're in the residential facility of how we act with each other, with the folks that work here. Racist comments are not okay, right? Hate is not okay. And so she was able to also advocate for herself and others that this resident, right, we're there to take care of him, but he's not allowed, right, to have these kind of hateful, harmful comments. And so that really touched me, that she just really took on the tools, and it gave her a voice to realize, like, I'm super smart. I'm worthy of being respected in my educational journey, right? A lot of folks just overlooked her, which is why she got pushed around a lot. I think people didn't really try to understand her and why she would react the way that she would. A lot of times when, situations come up with her and, her brother, for example, we talk with them and I'm like, hey, like, dude, this isn't okay. And he like, yeah, I know, Dodie, I know. And I was like, so what's going on? And he was like, he kind of give a surface answer. And I'm like, no, dude, like really what's going on? And like for him, he was late like every day. And at first he was like, oh, I woke up late. And I'm like, well, you gotta set your alarm. And then the next conference we had, I'm like, dude, you're late again. Like we got to make up this time because we really look at restorative justice. And finally, come to find out, they were taking care of an individual that lived in their home. And every time he tried to leave for school, the person would ask for something else again. And so it was making him late. And I was like, why didn't you tell me you were taking care of this person and this is why you're late? It's not because you're sleeping in. And so we talked about, right, setting expectations, asking the person if they need something 10 minutes before he needed to leave, and just setting boundary, like, I'm leaving at this time, and if you need something, you're gonna have to ask so and so, like, so they're still taken care of. And then he made up his time, and they both graduated, have gone on, been CNAs for a long time now. They're in our first couple cohorts. And so for me, it's really how we meet folks where they're at in our work. And going into all the work that we do at Empowered Aging, it's done with compassion and thought of the humans that we serve.
And I think, I mean, it's an interesting point because it does carry over student to resident. And it's that same thing. It's about not making assumptions about the people that you're dealing with. And it's about understanding that every person does have a history and does have something that brought them to where they are. And some things in their background have shaped them into the person they are. So very good point, Jody. Thanks for sharing that.